Everybody, welcome to MHS 607, the second course in the Science Communication Certificate Program within the Masters of Health Sciences degree program in the graduate school. I'm Isabel May, your instructor. If you've taken 603 before, you are already very familiar with my voice. And the bad and the good news, however you want to look at it, is that you're going to hear my voice a whole lot more this class as well. So all of the videos you'll be reviewing as lecture videos, I've recorded them for you. And so this class is focused before I go there, on genres in scientific writing, right, and particularly journal publications. So I recorded this video just to give you a quick overview of the assignments, because if you go module by module, it can be a little overwhelming. We cram a lot into 8 weeks because it's a 3-credit class, right? So you're already familiar with this. 603 was probably a little bit of a slower pace than 607, but you should be comfortable with the pace this class goes. You have a little bit more writing to do, so I try to keep some of the reading as light as possible, which has not always been this successful. Some of the reading you don't have to do in great detail, especially some of the Cochrane reviews in Module 5 when we talk about systematic reviews, because I really just want you to look at them as samples. So anyways, having said all that, you will have to do, just as in 603, a weekly quiz. It's short, maybe 5, mostly 6 questions. I think most of them are probably an average 3 to 4 questions. It's just a quick check for you and for me to know that you've grasped and fully taken in the content of each module. They always do Sundays at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can do them as early as possible, as early as you like during the week. It's up to you. I suggest to review at least the lecture videos and do most of the readings before you do those. But when you do that, that should prepare you really well for those quizzes. So nothing really, not a big change, actually no change at all from 603, same structure. So let me talk about the assignments and the general focus of this class. I mentioned this briefly at the beginning of this video. In this class, we're focusing on common genres in scientific writing. In the first module, you get an introduction and overview to the class and in general to scientific writing. And I'm having you do a couple of a larger writing assignment and discussion there. I'll talk about that in the rest of this video as well. So I want to focus right now on the content of each module. Modules 2 to 4 are focused on sections of the IMRD articles. And so IMRD stands for Introduction, Methods, Results, and Discussion. It's the traditional and typical structure of an empirical research article in almost all scientific publications. Module 5 will focus on systematic reviews, meta-analyses, and review articles. We'll do some work there. Module 6 on book reviews, and you already all know that you have to select a book and read it throughout the class, and the reason for that is that you'll be able to write a book review in Module 6. So the earlier you have the book finished, you might want to, let me put it this way, if you finish the book before Module 6, or a couple modules before, take a peek at Module 6, and make sure that you don't forget too much. And maybe start even writing the book review. You can be in charge of your own writing schedule for that. It is due in Module 6. Module 7 will focus on case studies and case reports. That's a really interesting section actually. And the writing gets a little lighter towards the end. Well, at least I hope it will. The heaviest are probably these first 2 to 5 modules and 6 with the book review. And then 7 and 8 get a little lighter, but you also will have to work on your portfolio for Module 8, which I'll talk about in a second. If you've taken 603, you're familiar with this approach. For those of you who haven't, hang on tight, and I'll talk about this in a second. And then the last module, probably also one of my favorite modules, I'll talk about the publishing process with you and give you some information on that. That's also appropriately so the module where you actually put together your quote-unquote publications for this class. The 3 assignments will go into the portfolio that you will have to revise based on my comments and some of your peers' comments as well. So frequency of writing assignments, about 1 to 2 writing assignments a week, and one is usually a little longer one, quote-unquote a traditional paper. like as a book review, as a summary, an analysis or something like that. Something between 500 to 700 words, sometimes a little shorter, but between, let's say between 400 and 800 words. And just a quick note about word limits. The lower range is sort of a hard, kind of a non-negotiable usually, right? So if it says 400 to 600 words, if you hand in only 300 words, chances are I probably won't see the depth that I'm looking for. It's not impossible, but probably not. But when it comes to the upper end, if you're a very wordy person, this might be a chance for you to work on that. But I also want you to know that if you're 50 or 20 or even 70 words above the word limit, it is not the end of the world. Just send me a quick note or put a note in there when you submit the assignment so I'll know about it. It won't affect your grade negatively. Now, of course, if I'm asking you for a 250 word column, which I'll talk about in a second, you're giving me 400, that's not the point either. This is particular, again, the upper range of the word limit. It really applies to the longer papers. If you go above those a little bit, it's okay. So anyways, let me go back to writing assignments. So at least one traditional paper. Additional assignments, I'll put an S here, can be entries in discussion. That's often the case, and I'll walk you through those in a sec. And sometimes there's shorter papers or group assignments. Oh, what is it with my S's? I forgot these on this slide. So group assignments are short text, 250 to 300 words. And here, actually, I really want you to be pretty strict about the word limit. These are modeled after advice columns for early career researchers. You will be assigned groups for each assignment. There's actually, in the module above the group assignment is another link that you can click on, and you'll see who is in your writing group. It's 2 to 3 people. If I can get 3 in each group, that's great, but I don't know what the final number is. Still not, I think the final number might not be divisible by 3, so I think one group might be ending up just 2 people. But 2 to 3 people in your writing group. And then you, as a team, you have to come up with this advice column for early career researchers. There's more information in the module about that as well. And there's on the Horizon page, some on the Horizon sections in modules that will alert you to some of these assignments coming down the pipeline so you can get prepared for that. So the first one is due in module 4. And it's a advice column where you can actually, each group can select a section from the IMRD format. Right, so you can focus on the intro, the methods, the results, the discussion. And I want you to write an advice column for novice researchers. Again, more detail about the assignment is actually you can find in the module, but just to have to know that in module 4 you'll have to submit a group assignment, and you can start working on that, basically in module 2 already as you're doing some of the other writing assignments that do that in those modules. And then the other one is in module 7, where I want you to write a short advice column about the contribution of case studies and case reports to medical research. I must have uploaded the wrong PowerPoint. So again, there's more information on that in Module 7 as well. But that's basically, those are the group assignments, 2 of them, and you'll get assigned a writing group. You'll be assigned to a writing group each one of those. So the core of this class, or a big chunk of it, is the IMRD article format. And there's 3 modules dedicated to this, 2, 3, and 4. You'll see here which sections we'll discuss. And for in each module, you will have to submit 1 writing assignment. And you have 2 options for this writing assignment. You could either submit sections of an article you're currently writing and get feedback on that. And there's some reflection pieces in there as well each time, where I want you to kind of reflect on, just in a short paragraph or 2, which of the rhetorical moves you've taken, you've changed, or you've incorporated into your version. Again, more description of that in the actual module, just to give you an idea. Option 2 is if you're not currently writing a journal article, perfectly fine. You will get 2 different articles, or the links for 2 different articles, where you have to compare, in module 2, the introduction sections, in module 3, the maximum results sections, and in module 4, the discussion sections. And there's also more information about those assignments in the modules as well. There are some other genre-specific assignments. There's one in the first module. There's an article review, which is actually due pretty quickly. It's due the first Wednesday. So I'm gonna alert you to that at the beginning of the week as well. But that assignment is a pretty quick turnaround. But it's a short article and a short assignment as well. And then there's a discussion that connects to it. But the article review is another genre-specific assignment, because reviewing an article and summarizing an article, I think, is an important skill to have, because that comes into, or it's a skill that informs all of publication-focused writing in the sciences. Module 2, you have another assignment about introductions, which I think is actually a fun assignment. You might not agree with that, and that's okay as well. I'm curious to hear from you when you do this. I haven't given this assignment before, so I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this. But you'll get a handout with some skeleton phrases. If you've taken 603, you know what this means. If not, just briefly, it's sort of phrasing that's typically used in introduction sections. And then I want you to just kind of write a quote-unquote pretend introduction, right? So based on a topic that either you can choose, I'm giving you a topic that you can use as well, and you can just get creative. You can't do that too often when it comes to scientific writing, so take the opportunity. But the goal again here is for you to practice some of the common rhetorical rules in introduction, which is a very narrative part of the IMRD article. That's why I'm only doing this assignment for the intro, not for the other ones. Module 5 has another genre-specific assignment. They're summarizing a Cochrane review, and this is the opportunity for publication. Yay! You already received some information on this, so I hope some of you will select this option, and we'll work with Professor Whelan on this one. And then the last module with the genre-specific assignment is Module 6, where you're going to be writing your book review. There's some interactive assignments, I already alluded to them. In Module 1, there's a discussion of the article review. So it only will become visible to you when you submit your article review. And then there's a discussion, and I give you some specific guidelines about how many times you have to respond and how often to check in over the next few days. Because I really would like to replicate sort of a face-to-face discussion here online, which is hard to do, right? It's not the same environment. But I think we can get to a very interactive space, because it's an interesting article that you're reading, and then in the discussion, I give you some more material to review and to compare and contrast. Module 6 is another interactive assignment where you actually will give some editorial feedback on 3 different book reviews, only 1 paragraph, and again, I give you some guidance on what to focus on. And you will be assigned whose book review to work with. So you get that at the beginning of Module 6, you will know which book review to use. And the assignment, the deadline for that is a little bit into the next module, I believe. So the deadlines here are sometimes midweek, end of week, or at the end of the weekend, or sometimes even bleeding into the next week. And in the last module, there's another interactive assignment. It's the one we're focusing on the publishing process, where we're going to have a discussion based on a sample response letter to a journal's editor. So that'll be I'm looking forward to that actually, because it's a topic that I'm very passionate about, which you'll realize when you look at the lengthy videos I recorded for that section on the publication process. There's a lot to be said about that, right? And it's such an important part of, the career of a scientific writer. And then there's some reflective assignments. No good writing course, I think, is complete without some level of reflection. So in the last 2 modules, I asked you to do some brief reflections. In Module 7, it's focused on the collaborative writing process. Again, big part of scientific writing is writing with others, for better or for worse. That's the way it goes. And then Module 8, in your portfolio cover letter, you'll be reflecting in general on your writing process in the class and so on. If you've taken 603, this should be very familiar to you. It's exactly what you've done at the end of that class as well. And that leads me to the last slide about the portfolio due in Module 8. Only 3 assignments you have to revise. The article review from Module 1, the summary of the Cochrane review in Module 5. And again, if you decide to, on the option for publication, there'll be more more revision on this one coming down after class. But I'll talk to those of you who select this, and we'll figure out how to go from there after the class ends and work with Professor Whelan on this. And then last but not least, the other revision assignment in the portfolio is the book review from Module 6, where you're getting, of course, my feedback as always, as well as feedback from your peers. Before I go here. And in general, I didn't include a slide on here because most of you have taken 603. I'm a big believer in feedback and quick turnaround feedback, unless my, child is sick, which can sometimes throw me back, but he's not doing that too often, so that's good. But in general, I like to give feedback as quickly as possible. Now, we're about, I think, 12 or 13 people in this class, and some of the assignments are lengthier, so It might take me 2 days to get back to you with feedback for the longer assignments, but that's usually the longest. So within 48 hours, sometimes maybe 50 hours, depending on how late at night I work, you will get some feedback from me on your assignments, particularly for the ones that you have to revise. You'll get a lot of detailed revision-focused feedback in terms of what to, next steps and so on. But you'll get feedback on all of your writing assignments, both in-text comments as well as a general kind of note. Usually I put some general feedback also in the in-text comments, so make sure you check those out. If you haven't taken my class before, I will include a video in module 1 about how to access and how to look at your comments in text if you haven't used Blackboard before. It's not the most user-friendly system I find, but it is what we have. For those of you who've taken 603, you know what to look for. This is just a continuation of that process. I'm excited to be working with you, and I'm looking forward to seeing all the wonderful writing coming out of this class.